Rolling. We're back. We're back.
He's gonna cut it out, right?
We're back.
Is that the applause? You throw the applause in there?
Yeah.
We're back.
A different world, man. We back.
Worth an applause.
Y'all love this joint.
Yeah.
I love this joint
Too
too.
bad we don't have the rights to play all of it.
We're playing the whole thing. We're playing the whole thing. What?
Yeah.
Yo, welcome back, guys. A different world. I gotta plug this with applause again. We're back. Corey Kareem.
Karen Carter.
Angelina. Just one name.
Angelina, that's it.
Damn.
That's it.
So you get one name.
Yeah.
You get one name.
I mean, the people know me. The people know who I am.
BAF.
They know who I am.
Bath. Yo, so how's y'all week been, man? It's been a
Survived
week or so.
it.
Survived
Yeah.
it. Last week was crazy for me. This week's a little slower.
November's that grind month. It's gonna
Man,
be real.
because it's time running out. Can you believe we're almost at that Christmas holiday madness?
Q4, yeah.
All you know, it's
It's here.
jeez.
Here. Get your shit.
I feel like I just got back from Jamaica. You know, last year I was on the beach and just living life.
You're gone for a while too.
No, I just got for 2 weeks maybe. Yeah.
Yeah?
I just made the most.
Y'all do anything for Halloween?
No, I didn't do nothing.
Nah.
Let me tell you something. This Halloween foolishness, no one come for me. But it's so hella annoying. Like there's grown ass. Boo me all you want.
I will.
When they have grown ass people blocking the street. Yeah, you can't even put the right stuff. You can't even play the right track. When there's grown ass people blocking the streets in their full costumes.
Leave them alone.
No, it's ridiculous. People take this foolishness too seriously. I'm not for it.
So
Please,
I was.
find something to
y'all
do.
seen
Find something to do.
y'all seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah.
That show. I was the Black Charlie, 2018 version.
Oh goodness.
Like the golden ticket, Charlie Chocolate Factory?
Yeah.
Or Willy Wonka?
Willy Wonka.
Okay, so
Same
you weren't.
thing.
No, it's not. No, you didn't see the movie. You
I
didn't
did
read the
see the
book
movie.
because you know that Charlie and Willy Wonka are not the same people.
No, I wasn't Charlie. I was the kid. I was the kid.
It was just Charlie.
It was Black Charlie.
Yeah.
Okay, you said I asked you if you were Willy Wonka.
No, I said didn't I just. Anyways, trying to trip me out like I don't know the movie.
So what does the kid look like?
He was a blonde kid.
And so what was your costume? How do you embody?
I bought your
Charlie?
favorite person's wig.
My favorite person's wig?
Mm-hmm.
Who's my favorite person?
Donald Trump.
Oh Lord. Oh jeez.
Yo, I can show y'all a little video.
So
watching
wait a
no
minute.
damn video.
So hold on, wait a minute. What is the outside of the wig? What did the rest of the costume look
There
like?
was nothing. You would without me. There was a larger group. So without that, you wouldn't have got the
She's
costume.
trying to
so-
ask if you put on whiteface.
So no.
That's what she's getting at. Did you do whiteface?
Wow. Yeah, we gotta post this. We gotta share this with the people. It was just the wig and the leather jacket, and that was like you being Charlie.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's right, Black Charlie. Black Charlie.
As my mother was, as my mother would say, a warrior fever. Like that's like next level. Next level.
Y'all too regimented, man.
Regimented.
Yeah.
So you hold on. So you roll with the crew. People were that blueberry girl and the
Everybody.
Russ
The main
fat kid,
characters.
whatever.
Yeah.
You should show a picture of the group
I will.
so it makes sense and you just weren't walking around.
Some people are like, who you supposed to be, Donald Trump? I'm like, wouldn't I be wearing a suit? And some people are like, Justin Bieber? I'm like, no.
Justin Bieber, actually, I can see the Justin Bieber bang.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, so social media was buzzing about a week ago. It was all good a week ago.
Yeah.
And it was about Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk. And she had her hubby Will Smith on there, and they got in on what family means to them, their relationship. They laid it all out on that red table, and they let everybody know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I know we all got a chance to watch it. For me personally, I was deeply inspired. I'm not even in the front. I even, my eyes,
Got steamy.
got a little, got a little moist.
Some condensation.
You know, and there were a couple of points in there that I was like, man, we really gotta like take this to our podcast or our platform and just kind of like really tackle them. So one of the first things that kind of blew my mind that Will brought up was their level of commitment in their relationship. So it was like, yeah, that sounds like really poetic and that sounds really meaningful, but I started to really think deeply about it, and I know Kern, you're also talking about it as well. It's like what does true commitment look like now in our world, in our society today? And like, can you be committed to a fault? Meaning that, you know, is there something where it's time for you to get out? It's time for you to move on? Like what does that look like? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Do you want to dive in first?
You go ahead, jump in.
I don't want to switch it, but I want to make this point of what Jada said that kind of speaks to their type of commitment, why I kind of get it, is she said that more than just being like my husband, he's my family, right? So when you're talking about commitment on that level, I totally get it, because regardless of how we interact on a day-to-day, what our relationship looks like from a day-to-day basis, we're still family, right? Like they have children together, what have you. And I mean, I know people talk about, oh, the divorce rate is this and that and whatever. People don't take marriage seriously. But I think that people that talk about the divorce rate and people getting separated so quickly or being kind of transactional with their relationships, I think they're ignoring the way our society has shifted, right? In terms of women, you can't talk about marriage without talking about women's liberation, right? And the idea that back in the day, women didn't have the autonomy that they have now, right? So many of them said, I have to stay in this relationship or else my life is over. I can't get a mortgage, I can't get a credit card, I can't fend myself, I can't work, so I'm going to stick in this thing. That's just one aspect. And then if you kind of look at also the religious aspects of marriage, people felt like divorce was a sin. Like I'm going to burn in hell for eternity if I get divorced. That mindset doesn't exist anymore. So I think that people are making choices that serve themselves. Or not, I don't want to say serve themselves, but people are
serve themselves.
Yeah, people are making. I say that and I recoil simply because I know it sounds selfish and that has a negative tinge to it.
Yeah.
But I don't mean in a negative way.
But as it should sound, it should have a selfish tinge to it.
Yeah,
all for
because you
people.
have your life to live.
All for people jumping out of relationships.
So here's the question. So the question really got rooted about because Will Smith specifically mentions in the first episode of their table talk that, you know, he met Jada at this party, this function, and he had this really engaging talk with her, and he left that talk and he ended up having like dinner with his wife, and then he went to the bathroom and he's like, he realized in that moment he married the wrong
person. But
he wasn't willing to get a divorce, to your point, but he was willing to stick it out. So my question
is ridiculous.
So
is it though?
Which is ridiculous.
Okay, that's where I want to go. Like, are you willing to stick it? Should a person who made this lifelong commitment, this pact, this covenant, should they stick it out if they've gone through all the whatever the soul searching protocols and whatever
his ex-wife, got it right. She said no. She's like, I don't love you anymore. That's what it took her saying that in those words, in that kind of vein, for him to be like, all right, fine. But why in the world, why would you stay in a relationship where you are not happy? Why would you stay with someone who you know you don't want to be with? I understand. I'm not in the way that Will Smith explained it. I would say don't make the decision in that emotional moment. Don't be like, I'm so emotional, let's break up. No. But they've been together for years at that point. They already had a kid at that point. What more do you need to know about the person? You already know everything about this person, or a lot about this person. So to me, I'm like, I know what I need to know about you. I know what I need to know about myself. I've grown, you've grown, and I just don't want to be with you. Period.
But here's the thing. I think so.
Why would you stay?
To kind of go back to my original point of when I talked about Jada saying that he's my family, I think that we have to look at relationships in a different way. I think we're too rigid with our definition of what a relationship is, right? Or what this commitment is, or what did I commit to, right? We talk about people changing, people evolving. At the end of the day, like, he's still committed to his first wife in terms of like, I got you, we're raising this child together, or what have you, but we're not in the same type of relationship that we're in right now. So I think that we would be, if we are a little bit more open with the transition or evolution of our relationships, we wouldn't be so concerned about like, I gotta get divorced, or I gotta like separate or cut things off. I think we deal with these. I think we deal with these transitions too absolutely or too finally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, I'm divorced. It's over. It's finished. I'm cutting this person out of my life. As opposed to saying, you know what, the construct of our relationship right now is not serving me or you. Let's discuss a transition to something.
But I think there are factors that are making you say that. So the fact that they have a kid is making you say that.
That's not what.
Like, because the fact that she has a wedding ring is making you say that, and that's an assumption. I don't know for sure what you're thinking. But my question to you would be, and you don't have to answer right away.
Yeah.
But if they're just boyfriend girlfriend, would this even be a discussion?
Possibly,
if there was no ring
know.
on their finger, if they had no kids together, would you care if Will Smith left that bathroom and said, you know what? Sorry, I don't remember his ex-wife's name. You know what? I'm out.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
The question
People wouldn't
is like,
even remember that.
Okay, but the reality is that we give more weight to the commitment made in marriage versus like a dating situation.
Yeah, and I'm saying why? Why?
I don't know. I don't have the answers to that.
It's a ring.
That's what our society does.
Marriage is.
You're right, but I'm saying
marriage is, to my understanding, my belief, marriage is supposed to be it's the highest form of a union. And I remember many talks ago you talked about. I remember you were saying that, you know, marriage should only be reserved for the select few.
Yeah.
You brought this point up. It should be so scarce and so difficult to get into that only a very handful of people should get into it. And I remember seeing another gentleman do some talk on YouTube, and he kind of shared the same sentiment, and he was just like,
Derek Jackson.
Yeah. He's like, you know, marriage ain't for everybody. And he was also breaking down their talk, right? And he's like, no. He's like, I love Will and Jada, but I don't think their goals should be everybody else's goals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I totally agree. Right. It's like they'll make you wait 2 years to get a full G license. They'll make you go to school to be a doctor for 13 years to just be a general practitioner.
Right.
Like, but to go into what is you just defined as the most exclusive union of man or man and woman or man and other person, like that. I could go to right now and go do that at City Hall tomorrow.
Right.
With somebody I just met.
Right.
This important relationship that spawns kids,
also,
that forms a bond that connects us together.
Yeah.
It could be done like this.
Right.
That makes no sense to me. So to alleviate or to like at least make balance that out, I said that we should then time box it. If you could get married like this, then the contract should be time boxed. You know what I'm saying? So that the commitment could be time boxed. So if you don't make that, if that situation doesn't work out, then you have an option to get out without penalty, without having to pay all these penalties. That sounds terrible, but whatever.
No, for sure.
Yeah, that's the side.
But I also think that if we looked at marriage as actual community building, we wouldn't throw it away as easily as we do.
I think, and we can go two ways with this. So
community building.
The sticking out thing, Kern's like, if you're done. My thing is, what if one person is like, I still want you. I want to work this out. I want to do whatever it takes, and the other person is just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, okay.
Well, you can't hold a person hostage, but
but do you have the mindset like? So think about it. Let's fast forward. Let's say you see Angelina, you like her. She's like, boy, I ain't got no time for you.
I ain't got no time for you.
And you're gonna be like, oh, I guess she has no time for me, or you're gonna be like, nah, I'm. You know what? That's the girl I'm supposed to be with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come correct. I'm gonna come a different way. I'm gonna bring flowers. But I'm just trying to say, like, do you just take the first when they say I'm done, or do you really try and?
No, but I would only say no because there are too many factors. Like you, Angelina, in this situation you just gave. If Angelina says no and she's done, and let's suppose we're already in a long-term relationship. We didn't just meet, and Angelina's like, yo, she's done. What if I was already done? You know, I'm trying to say, like, what if it took her to get to the point of to say that she's done? It took me fucking up like so many different times. So she's saying she's done because she already said she's sticking it out for 5 years after I've been fucking up.
Yeah.
So she's finally done. You know what I'm saying? It's not she's done the first time. So that's just one factor. There's so many different routes we could take to what got Angelina to the point where she's done. Where it got me to the point where I'm asking for forgiveness every single time. What gets me to the point where I feel like I want to be done. What gets me to the point where I don't even know that I want to be done. I'm just holding on to her for security, or because she's comfortable, or because she's rich, or because my parents like her, or because I don't want to be alone. Like there's so many different routes you could take. So that to me, you can't put a relationship into that box.
I appreciate that you threw in the whole she's rich thing. You know, glory, hallelujah.
Amen.
Speaking into existence.
But one thing about Will and Jada's relationship that you can't ignore is that they've done a lot of individual personal work.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So even to have the conversation of we're going to stick this out means that whatever they were seeking from the other person, they came to a place to understand that I got to get it for myself. Right? And I got to work on whatever limiting beliefs, whatever traumas I have before I can kind of expect to be right in this marriage. So
there was this moment where Will describes a story where him and Jada got into some fight in front of people. It wasn't really a fight. She told Will to shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That ain't a
she told
fight.
him to shut up. And he gave her a little bat over the head with a newspaper, and they went in a private room, and he said, listen, I don't
That's very
ever...
black, by the way. Sorry, that's such a black girl thing in a good way. I like
shut the
when you just tell a girl when the girl says it, shut the fuck up, like, and a guy can take it. I feel like that's very black culture. Sorry, that sounds problematic. I know. I'm sorry. I'll take the smoke.
I have never said
I'll take the smoke.
I want all the
But
smoke.
I'm gonna say that's very black culture. For the fact that Will took it like how he took it, and then had to dismiss it because he didn't want it. But still, the fact that he took it is very black culture. Sorry.
Will...
I don't like that. That's so interesting because I feel like the whole to kind of encapsulate as black culture is not legit because that's not part of. I've never experienced that kind of verbal violence.
I'm only.
I know.
Crazy, right?
I know where Kern's going with that, but to get to the original question is like, so Will tells Jada, is like, look, I never want to argue in person. I never want to in public. I never want us to swear at each other. And he's like, it's either that or we're done. So he basically gave her an ultimatum. So my question is, ultimatums, is that something that you guys are about it? Or do you live and die? Are there certain things that you would live and die by in a relationship where if your spouse, partner, whatever was like, I'm not with that, are you able to be like, all right, we're done, we don't exist?
It's interesting because I don't necessarily see that necessarily as an ultimatum per se, because sometimes people use ultimatums as points of manipulation, right? Do this or else. Whereas I see that as setting a boundary, right? Setting a standard. Like, listen, this is my standard. Do not cross this boundary.
But if you do cross it,
like this, then we are not. Our values are not in alignment. So that speaks more. Like, it's rather than like do this thing or else. Like, you're not. I'm not gonna be your friend kind of thing. But listen, if this is a crucial point for me, right? I'm setting this boundary. I'm setting this standard. And this is again, we talked about expectations before. This is my expectation for the life that I want to lead. And if you're not about that, then cool.
I think it's the same thing. I think it's semantics. It's just a wording thing. I think a boundary is an ultimatum. It's the same thing because you're saying, here's my standard. Here's what I feel about myself and what I want out of this relationship. And if you cross that line, I'm not with it. So to me, that's and I don't say it's a negative thing. I think it's a great thing. I wish we all had higher standards in relationships.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because we settle for so many things and we accept so many things in a relationship. So the ultimatum or the standard or the boundary should be there and it should be value based. Totally, it should totally be value based.
ultimatums?
Yeah, I totally have ultimatums.
So what's one of your ultimatums, like if your partner wasn't on board with, if your girl wasn't on board with, like, what's one of them?
If your insecurity is a problem for you in our relationship, like if your insecurity is too strong that is becoming a problem where you constantly need affirmation. I can't deal with that. So essentially, I'm saying I don't like needy women. I'm not down for that. I've dealt with them before in the past many times, and it's like draining. So I'm just not dealing with any needy women. I could sit back and be like a sounding board. Like, I'm a great friend. I'm a great listener. It's actually one of my gifts. I think I'm really good at listening. But I don't want someone who is so insecure that it's detrimental to my energy. So that's a deal breaker for me.
What about you?
It's so interesting. I saw a meme on social media yesterday that I'm paraphrasing, but it pretty much says that women are shamed out of their standards, right? And I thought that was
deep dive.
yeah.
Explain.
I thought
Please explain that.
I'm gonna go deeper into it, and it connected with me because, and this is why I kind of resisted the term ultimatum, because I was dating someone in the past that like said from the get-go, I don't do ultimatums, right? Like, if you kind of say like this whole do this or else, and again, of course, it's always about how you phrase things.
Yeah.
But like, he was very much, I don't do ultimatums, and it was almost in a spiteful way where if there was a standard, if there was a deal breaker or like a thing, I'm like, listen, this is really important to me, and I'm the type of person that I'll let you know what my standard is, and even if it's sometimes against the way that you've been socialized or trained, for lack of a better term, I will work with you to adapt. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're introducing a new level to a person that they're not familiar with, and you have to give them time. You don't have to, but I prefer to give them time to adapt. So I would say, I would say that this person, like, this is really important to me, right? But I would feel like, oh, I don't do ultimatums. And therefore I felt silenced, and I felt almost emotionally manipulated, right? So again, so kind of going back to the meme, just on the surface level, of course, it definitely could do a deep dive of what that means in terms of women are shamed out of their expectations. But like, the idea of, I want a man that is a provider. Oh, she's a gold digger, stuff like that, and so I have had situations that should have been deal breakers, but I feel like I've been socialized to accept less or even work through. And I'm going to say this, and again, I'm going to get the smoke, and it's okay. I'm ready for it.
She want all the smoke.
I'm going to get the smoke. But like, I feel like because the woe is the black man, as a black woman, I have to deal with your shit and kind of give you allowances in ways that arguably I shouldn't.
Yeah, that's worse than my black culture comment.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Black Twitter.
We have one
speaking my truth right now.
for you.
I like to report Angelina Williams. Yes.
No, and I'm saying this as someone that predominantly dates black men, right? I don't know if it's like this whole, if you're woke, then you should know the struggle of a black man, and now you have to be his mammy and help him through his shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, ride or die. Like, these types of things that tell us that we're supposed to settle for less, and we have to make allowances for people's bad behaviors because of the socio environment that they're dealing with. It's exhausting, and I kind of feel like just now.
I say two things: check yourself and check your man. Like, so if your man is not in a good position and you're feeling like you have to support him, and it's draining for you, then check your man. But check yourself to make sure you're also not in a situation where you're not like so far removed from where he is that you're being judgmental. That would be the first thing. I'm not thinking about you. I'm thinking about overall. And the second thing is...
No, hold on. I need you to rewind that. Remember your second thing, but I don't understand what that is.
I think I understand.
I don't.
What, my second thing?
No, your first thing.
Like, what was my first thing
when
I
you
said?
said check yourself and check your man. If you are in a position where you have to help him out,
I said, like, cause check yourself. Like, if check your man first, I'll say. So if he's in a position where he's needing to be, where he's really relying on you for emotional support, for maybe financial support, to be that person that black woman who's gonna take care of me, and he's not bringing as much to the table as you need him to.
So sorry,
check
maybe
your man.
let me reiterate. I'm not talking about supporting anybody. What I'm talking about is accepting bad behavior.
Yeah, well, I'm saying supporting. You're saying upset. It's again, sorry, that's a wording thing. But yes, if you're accepting of bad behavior, because you feel like you have to take care, whatever you feel. Let's not even go there. Whatever you feel, you're accepting that bad behavior for whatever. Check your man.
Right.
But I'm saying like make sure on the flip side that you're behaving yourself as well, and you're not so far. Like you're good, and you're in a position where you're very far removed from where he is, so that you can make that statement where it's like I'm not like accepting that bad behavior.
Well,
let me put it in very simple terms. So I'm trying to like beat around the bush. Like I'll give you two different examples. So a very straightforward example is if your guy is having sex with somebody else and cheating on you, and you find out, make sure that you weren't cheating and he just doesn't know. And then you're checking him on that. That's a very basic thing, right? But on the flip side, though, if you're checking your man because he's broke and he's not getting a job, make sure your ass ain't broke either, and you have a job and you're striving, you're ambitious, and you're doing all the things you're getting at him for. Make sure you're doing those things as well.
I get it.
I think that's a double-sided, like on both sides,
I'm
right?
saying
Because a lot of dudes have the expectation that their girl's gonna be Mother Mary and they're out on the road just whoring it up.
But that's an expectation. That's an expectation because you allow it. You accept that. If you don't accept that, like then.
Yeah.
I want on that word expectations.
Yeah.
So I heard they talked about expectations, and I heard this quote by Dr. Miles Monroe, the late great Dr. Miles Monroe, and he said once that true love has no expectations, or unconditional love has no expectations. So my question that I'm putting out there, I was like, yeah, okay, I get where he's coming from, but I'm like everyone has expectations. You know, I get the root of it, but I'm just like, I still don't. It's hard for my mind to kind of break down because everyone has a certain level of expectations.
I don't even understand the root
So
of it,
my first question I want to put out there to all of us is, unconditional love. Are human beings capable of unconditional love? What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure with that. I think
true love.
We spoke about it before. I don't even true love. I don't even know what that means. Unconditional love. I don't think anyone. I don't think anyone's capable of that because if you look at the true definition of unconditional, that means without condition.
Yeah.
So you're gonna love me no matter what I do. That's stupid. Actually.
Well, no.
If
Okay. So
if I think like that.
We love the world kind of thing.
That's ridiculous.
Cool.
But if you're in a relationship and you're saying you're gonna love me unconditionally,
no, there's conditions with that shit.
To me, there's conditions, but I get maybe the sentiment of it I could understand. So maybe if the boundary is cheating and I cheated, then you could love me but still separate from me. You know what I'm trying to say? So the love and the emotion is still there. Like, there's something about this person that I see potential in this person. I see, he treats me good or she treats me good like 98% of the time or whatever that situation is, but he crossed a boundary that I'm not willing to accept. She crossed a boundary I'm not willing to accept, and he's done that or she's done that repeatedly.
Yeah.
So I still love this person, but I can't be with this person. I can understand that. You know what I'm trying to say? If that's what you mean, because the love is still unconditional, it's still going on, but your actions say, you know what, I can't deal with this person. If that's what you mean, then yes. But if you mean like my love is unconditional, so this person continuously is crossing the boundary that I've set, and he's not listening to me and she's not listening to me, and I'm just gonna stick it out because I have this unconditional love, that's pointless and that's stupid and that's hurtful. And that's gonna harm you more than it's gonna help you.
For sure.
That's what
I agree.
Yeah. For me, I think true love does exist. And true love and
hold on, true love or conditional love?
So for me, true love and unconditional love to me are one and the same, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So
please do.
Please
do.
He's waiting.
I'm so waiting to hear this.
So to me, so I'll say it like this. I think it's the highest form of love that most people unfortunately will never get to in their life.
So you're talking about like agape love, God love?
So no. Well, I think agape love is God's love. So being
that
a human,
to me is the highest.
To me, so I'm just saying, true love is the highest form of love that you can experience as a human being. And I think most people will never get to that level because it requires a different self to get there. You have to be so selfless to get to that point. Because you think about it, true love. You guys both offer true love with your children. Mm-hmm. That is a definition of true love. Although it's a different dynamic in the relationship because you're dealing with your daughters, but that is you accepting your daughter as who she is. That is the definition, or is one of the focal points of true love. So I think what Will and Jada were getting at is like the idea of having expectations in a relationship. I think there's a point where if you have these lists of expectations that you expect and your spouse partner is not hitting them, then you're just like, I'm gonna bounce, right? And to me, it becomes problematic when you start to have that list and things don't start to go your way. And as you know, we've all lived on this planet long enough that a lot of things don't go your way. Mm-hmm. So what are you gonna say? Like, so I have this list of 10 things, and homegirl only can give me 7.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna bounce because I can't get all 10?
Yeah.
Or maybe she had 10 and now it's only 7. So I'm gonna bounce because I no longer have those 3?
Yeah.
Like at what point do you say, you know what, I love her, and because I love her, or I love him because I love him, I'm gonna continue to work
What if those 10 things are value-based or moral-based?
I think
10 is a huge number, but what if those 10 things are value-based or moral-based? So you're telling me you should let someone go against their values or morals to stick in a relationship?
I think that comes down to what those specific values are. Because I believe there are certain things that you can grow with your partner to work towards.
Like what?
Like, for example, if I think that let's just say, if you wanted someone that was charitable, and your partner wasn't charitable. Mm-hmm. I think through the course of you going out and doing what you do, so let's say it's Thanksgiving and you like to carve up turkeys, or it's Christmas, you like to go hand out to the homeless, I think you can possibly inspire her to do that through your own actions.
And if they don't become inspired?
If they don't,
I'm trying to get to the point here where it's like, this is unconditional. Yeah. You're laughing, but it's unconditional.
No,
you try to inspire your partner.
So here, I'm going to ask you a question. So, at the end of the day, everyone has to decide what devils they can live with and what they can't. Everyone is living with a certain amount of devils. Hmm. Some of us got less, some of us got more. You have to, at the end of the day, you know yourself best. You got to say, Karen Carter, you know what, this devil right here, I can't live with that. So maybe it's time for me to consider some other options. Or it's something like, you know what, this is something I can deal with.
So you're essentially saying that person didn't meet their expectations?
No, so what I'm trying to tell you is that expectations, it can become quite detrimental if you're trying to always hold it up as like a benchmark. Like if this is not being met, then I don't think this can work. And I just think like,
I think people that live that way have their own demons that they're dealing with. And here's what I mean. I think in our society we don't value enough self-love. We think about like the stages of our life, right? You know, we are children, we're being raised by our parents value our parents' values. We go to high school and college, our peers value our peer values. You get into work, and like at the same time you get into the workforce and what have you, and the time where you're supposed to develop that autonomy, you're supposed to now join your life with another person that comes from a whole different world, arguably, than a world of different experiences than you, and now you're supposed to kind of match together. At what point do we spend time really understanding who we are, accepting our shortcomings, loving ourselves and our whole self, flaws and all, so that we can be more compassionate with our partners and love our partners where they are. Now, this whole idea of like no expectations, I agree with Curtis, it's BS. I think that you want to maintain some sort of expectation, with your partner, but it depends on what are those expectations. So is my expectation really like, well, I want you to have a six pack and I expect you to be like a size 2 or what have you, or is my expectation is I want you to continue growing in yourself as a human being. I want you to remain honest, like we're saying, value-based expectations.
So what if your value base is health? Right? Like, I want you to be healthy.
Right, and what does that mean, though? That's like a very broad...
So if someone says, I want you to be healthy, but they mean, like, I want you to somehow stay in the realm of...
But that's not being healthy, right? So there's people that are size 2 and unhealthy.
So now you're taking the extreme. So let me be specific in this case.
Yeah.
If your woman gains or man gains 200 pounds in the 5 years you're with them, that becomes unhealthy, right? So we could play the semantic things with weight, whatever, but I want to be very specific so we're clear what we're talking about. Like, is that's an expectation where I'm like, I wouldn't ride for that.
Okay, which is fine, but then you have to also ask yourself the question: how did they get there? Were you beside them the whole time they got there? Do you now drop your responsibility and rules to love and care for this person so they got to that, they gained that 200? No, I don't think so. Like, for me, I mean, every person's different, right? So if a person decides to leave that person because they're 200 pounds more than they were before, that's that individual's person.
Is that shallow?
No, because there could be a host of different reasons for that, right? I don't think we should stand in judgment of what people decide for their own individual lives, right? But what I'm saying is are the expectations based in our values versus are they based in like superficial things? I just that's kind of what I'm going with, and I think the reason why we have these like rigid, strict expectations because we haven't learned in our society to respect and accept ourselves, right? Like we want to act like our shit don't stink, but the reality is like, yo, you think you're Mr. Hot Stuff, but who really wants? Like, if I were to list out all your flaws, could you handle it?
Exactly.
Right? Like, you're talking about the splinter in my eye. Let's talk about the log in yours. Like, I think that when we're looking at people and we're kind of sizing up people for their partnership, I think we should first start to address what do I bring to this table.
Of course.
Agreed.
Right? As opposed to like, do you check my list? Yeah. That's all wonderful, great. Yeah, you want to have your standards, but who am I?
You just literally explained the check your man, check yourself. That's
gotcha.
Exactly what I meant.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that list, whatever you guys have it should always be value based.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't. Like, people are like, yo, she has to have a big booty. She has to have like long hair and like.
Well, I think that
that just means your values are messed up. They're still your values.
But for me, when I hear somebody say that, I feel like they're just saying that, stating the obvious, being that they need to be attracted
to the person.
Be attracted to that
right.
woman. So they're just being over descriptive.
Right.
When it comes destructive, maybe destructive is the wrong word. If someone says, "Well, I can't mess with you unless you make X amount of dollars." Now, to each his own, right? Mm-hmm. You have the right to do that, but I feel like the person that has that specific of an expectation could be missing out on that person.
Oh, for sure.
Because you could. I know we brought up this example.
Yeah.
You could be looking for that guy, and then you go into Food Basics, and there's Mr. Handsome right there, but he works at Food Basics. He's bagging your groceries, and you put him in the box.
Yeah.
And then you just totally didn't even pay him no mind. In 5 years, he has his own insurance brokerage.
Yeah.
And then you see him with somebody else.
Yeah.
But I don't. To be real, I don't down those girls. I don't even judge those girls. Girls that are attracted to men with money, I don't down those girls because there's men that are just attracted to beauty and youth.
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't down, like, if a girl, because for money for some girls just means security. It means they don't have to worry about anything else from that perspective.
But I think that value system, I get the reason for it, is it's inherently flawed and it's problematic, and it'll bring up issues in the relationship, because when that money is not there, then what does that mean for their relationship?
So
if that's
you talked about, actually, I want you to touch on something, because you brought this up when we were having our conversation before recording. You talked about the whole, if someone wanting children, what have you, the person got into an accident and so on and so forth. I want you to
so we first talked about sticking it out, and we were talking about true love, unconditional love. And I was saying that, I think our generation really lacks the concept of what real love is really about. Because love is an action at the end of the day. So the question or the scenario I put out there is like, if you're a newlywed and you just got married and the things you wanted most out of this marriage was to have your first child. That was the thing you've been dreaming about, the thing that you wanted the most. And then your spouse, your partner, gets into a very life-altering accident that prohibits them from helping you to have this child. Are you going to be like, we can't be together anymore? Or you're going to like find a way, adopt, or whatever other alternatives are out there?
I would think that you're perfectly in your right to go find somebody else.
So you would leave that person?
Yeah, because if that was so important to you, if raising a family was so important to you, a natural family was so important to you, and that was agreed upon, like you guys both wanted that, and then circumstances changed that, out of your control or not, that was a thing for you.
So could you really say that you love that person though?
Yes, you can.
Sure.
Why can't you say that you don't love them?
I think that we're responsible for creating the life that we want.
Amen.
I agree with you.
Right? And so it sounds really heartless and cold, but that's like, we can't put that in anyone else's hands, right? So like if I wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle and I never did, I only have myself to blame. I'm responsible for creating the life that I want to live. And so as difficult as it might be, I mean, we've all loved somebody and it didn't work out. We're not dead, right?
True.
Like you kind of pursued whatever else came after that.
Facts.
So if it, or you love someone and you realize, this is not going to really work because of whatever reason, right? And we continue to pursue the thing that we wanted. I think that you're entitled to go for what you want.
So
because think about the
here's my question then. Where's the loyalty part of that?
But loyalty and then that will breed resentment.
Is it resentment or is it something?
No, it could be like, okay, now
could it be one of those moments? Because often blessings don't come
for sure
gift wrapped and
outside
on your doorstep. They come through whatever.
Absolutely. And you know what? What I'm trying to say is that you could go either way, right? But the person that chooses left versus right is not wrong.
They're not wrong, and they're not blameless.
Yeah.
I would say so too.
Yeah.
Oh, this is it? Yes. Are we done? Are we done with this true love?
We're done with love.
I mean, we're done for now. I guarantee.
Let's do it like this.
Too much love.
Never too much love.
Let's do it like this. What's your biggest takeaway from Red Table Talks?
Actually, there's a part that we didn't actually touch on that I think we'll probably dive into on another day. Jada talked about like finding herself, but I think one of the, like Derek Jackson was saying, you don't really want to model yourself after anyone else's relationship. Too much nuance, too much untold stories for you really to do that.
True.
But one thing I can take away is the importance of personal development. You know, really, like I think sometimes we rely. I got a round of applause on that one. Okay. But I think one of the things that we don't focus enough on in relationships is personal growth and self-love.
Those are great. I'll echo that, and I'll also tell one story. I remember my older brother Kerry. He had his first wife, and then he got divorced. And he's like super happy now. He has 2 kids. My nieces are like beautiful. I'll show you guys pictures after. But I asked him like, what's the like most important thing in a relationship? And I was expecting him to say like communication or love or blah blah. He said space. And to me, that stuck with me ever since. And that's who I am, like to my core, and that's what I actually believe. Like space is the most important thing in a relationship. For several reasons that we could go into after, but space to be yourself, like you said. Space, just physical.
Like autonomy?
Space to be yourself. Yes, autonomy. Space, physical space so you could breathe. And space so you could go out into the world and grow. Space so you could grow to become who you want to become without your partner inhibiting that or altering that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so space. When he said that changed my life.
I think the most fascinating thing I got out of that is that it is like, to your point, and you said something around it's up to you to create the life that you want. And I think when I saw that talk, I was like, wow. Granted, Will Smith was already successful in his career at the point he met Jada, but would he be the type of person he is today if he stayed with who he was and he didn't make that, and that wasn't put on his heart? Because ultimately, Sheree might have been asked for the divorce, but I feel like in his heart,
he wanted it.
That kind of, fueled what later come to pass, right? Yeah. So it made me think about how many people, in general, are just putting themselves through their own misery, right? Whether it's just for the kids, whether it's for the perspective of their family, society, community, and they're not really living their best lives because they want to keep all these pieces happy. Yeah. And so to further that point, makes me think about the life that they could be denying themselves to uphold that righteous image that we're supposed to have.
Yeah.
You could become this great person, but because you decide, you know what, I'm loyal to a fault, if you will, that you deny yourself this whole other life experience.
Right.
Look at Will and Jada's relationship and what they've created with Jaden and Willow, and that could have not existed at all.
It's actually one of my biggest fears, that I'm gonna love somebody so much or be so involved with somebody that I'm gonna forget or ignore who I want to be. That just scares me, and not even to any fault of myself. Not I'm purposely trying to do it, but I'm just so engaged or enthralled by this person. Or
I'm gonna give actually my own interpretation of scripture. I know I'm not religious, but whatever. But that scripture talks about drop all your possessions, pick up your cross, and follow me. Yeah. I feel like in this context, it's the idea of moving away from the world's expectations. Okay, you're supposed to have this car, you're supposed to have this, you're supposed to have this family, you're supposed to have this house, you're supposed to have this job, what have you. All the world's expectations of what you're supposed to be, and following spirit and kind of embodying what spirit wants you to be. I think that's the only real commitment that we should honor is what God is calling us to be. Because again, what the salvation that we seek exists within us. Right? So if
you're going biblical today.
Well, I know, but what I'm trying to say is that whoever, the salvation that we're looking for in this planet, in this world, exists within
totally believe it.
Us.
I totally
one of
believe
us.
it.
If we are obedient and follow the course in which we're supposed to go, the course that our heart is leading us, then we'll save ourselves. But when we try to forsake that and only follow what society is telling us to do or be,
or another person,
whatever.
I agree.
And that's why I resist the idea that everyone's supposed to be married. You know what I mean? And that a marriage is supposed to be a life goal.
Yeah,
for a lot of people, that's not what it is.
Yeah, and you feel guilty if you don't feel like that. And to kind of top it off, I remember reading Malcolm X's autobiography, and his realization at the end of the book that he felt killed him, that got him killed, was the fact that he blindly followed a man, and he said that he would never in his life do that again. He followed the honorable Elijah Muhammad to a fault.
Yeah.
He followed his exact word, his rules, and then he found out I don't want to get into it, but he found out all these different things about him that was totally against what he was preaching, what Elijah Muhammad was preaching, and it hurt him so much because he followed this one man so hard. So that's another lesson I've learned in my life. I never follow man, I follow my heart always. You know what I'm trying to say? And I take advice from man, meaning humans, but I would never follow anyone wholeheartedly like that. And I learned that from that book. That shit was real. Autobiography of Malcolm X.
Man, boy, we could go on and on for these talks, the Red Table Talks, and this is going to be part of a larger series on relationships and sex and Scorpio season and everything in between there. So just remember to
Scorpio season.
Just remember to check us out on our Instagram account, AW_podcast, as well as on Facebook. and Twitter, on YouTube. We're everywhere. And this is a Different World podcast. And
All right.
that's it. We out.